Okay, so in 8.5 we're going to be adding and subtracting rational expressions. And as you know, rational expressions are fractions. So we're going to have to recall adding fractions. So I'm first just going to do adding fractions one. If I have 5 over 6 plus 3 over 10. Remember, in order to add these, you would need a common denominator. And some of you might be able to tell what the common denominator is now. But I'm going to do it in the way we're going to do it with the rational expression. So if you factor the 6, it's 2 times 3. If you factor the 10, it's 2 times 5. So the least common denominator has got to include this whole thing, 2 times 3, but it also has to include everything that's in here. Well, the 2 is already in the least common denominator, so all I need to do is multiply with the 5. Now the least common denominator is 2 times 3, which is 6, times 5 is 30. So to get that 30, I need to multiply this one by 3, and you multiply the top also. I would need to multiply this one by 5 and multiply the top also, and I would have 25 over 30 plus 9 over 30, which would then be 34 over 30. Okay, and then you still would need to simplify or reduce it by 2, and I would get 17 over 15. Okay, just real quick refresher on fractions. Okay, so in order to add these, I need common denominators. Well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is factor the denominators. This first one can't be factored. I moved it over a little bit. The second denominator can be factored, and it's going to be x minus 1 times x minus 2. Okay, well, my least common denominator is going to be, it's got to have at least the whole thing of one of them, x minus 1 times x minus 2. And this already has the x minus 1, so I don't need to add anything else. This is my least common denominator. Okay, this one's already there, here. That's already the least common denominator. So I need to get the first one. So what I need to multiply it with, is x minus 2. And I also multiply the top. So what happens, remember I distribute through, so that's going to be x squared minus 2x over x minus 1 times x minus 2 plus 2x minus 1 over x minus 1 times x minus 2. So now I can combine my like terms. I have x squared minus 2x plus 2x minus 1 all over the common denominator. And my 2x's in this case cancel out, and I'm left with x squared minus 1 over x minus 1 times x minus 2. You do still need to check if it can simplify, and the numerator does factor. It's a difference of squares, so I have x plus 1 times x minus 1 over x minus 1 times x minus 2, squeeze that in there. And what happens is my x minus 1's cancel out, so my answer is going to be x plus 1 over x minus 2. And any restrictions still, x cannot equal, remember, go from before you cancel it out, so it's x cannot equal positive 1 or positive 2. Okay, so this one we have a subtraction one, and what we're going to do here Well, that was the joke. Did I get you? All right. Back to the problems here. Okay, so I have subtraction, and I got to factor the denominators. So I'm going to have x plus 2. An x factors out of this one, and I'm left with x minus 2. A 2 factors out of this one, and I'm left with x minus 2. So to find my least common denominator, okay, I'm going to start with one of the denominators, x times x minus 2. Now what's in this second one that isn't already in the common denominator is just the 2. I already have the x minus 2 in my LCD. All I need to do is multiply that 2 to it. So my least common denominator is 2x times x minus 2. So what I need to do, I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to multiply this first one by 2, and I need to multiply this second one by x, because that's what each of them are missing from the LCD, and I got to do it to top and bottom. So I get 2x plus 4, because I got to distribute over 2x times x minus 2, minus x squared plus 2x over 2x times x minus 2. And now the only difference with subtraction is, remember that this subtraction sign goes to this whole numerator. Okay, so when you're combining your like terms, it's going to be negative x squared minus 2x over 2x times x minus 2. Combine my like terms, write it in standard form. I get negative x squared. The 2x's again cancel out. Plus 4 all over 2x times x minus 2. Now I know the numerator doesn't look like it can be factored, but it actually can. When you have a quadratic and that first term is a negative, remember at least factor that out. So I have negative times parentheses x squared minus 4. And now that numerator is a difference of squares, so it's going to be x minus 2 times x plus 2. Okay, so if that quadratic term is ever the negative, factor that out and then see if it can be factored. And what happens here, my x minus 2's can cancel out. So my answer, I'm going to write up here, negative times x plus 2 over 2x. My restrictions, remember before I canceled out, x cannot equal 2. Because the 2x, that means that x cannot equal 0 as well. All right, here's 2 U-Try problems. Try these, and if you have any questions, we'll go over them in class.